How's your eye? I'm an asshole.
I thought episode 5 was dope, but from season 4, episode 7 dropped some information, confirmation, incantations, and heavy confrontation. Welcome to Real Enigmas and Theories. Let's get right into this breakdown. So we're finally talking and somewhat sharing information. I mean, Boyd is still keeping things from Christy with him just seeing a picture of his wedding day on the Viewmaster, but it seems like she doesn't believe anything what they're telling her anyway, so what's the point? Boyd decides to tell all of Colony House the information about Tabitha or Jade and Tabitha, starting with Victor and Henry. So he pulls him to the side, takes him to Victor's room, and Henry wasn't feeling it at all, and he hasn't been sober since like episode 5, and now he's got a glass of Sophia's Clamato juice running through his system. I mean, he turned up heavy on Boyd and Jade and then went and sat his drunk ass down somewhere. And I know his breath was stinking like a motherfucker when he said this.
No, you will cause his pain.
But nah, for real. Henry not believing Jade is one of the biggest red flags in this episode. This is the same man who told Tabitha that Miranda saw visions of people trying to save the children from the tower. So why would Henry suddenly reject the idea that Jade and Tabitha are connected to Miranda and Christopher? That should be the exact thing that makes his wife's paintings finally make sense, unless something is blocking him. The care facility hallucinations may not be the only effect. His disbelief, his anger, and the way he turns down Boyd and Jade may all be a part of Sophia using him as a social weapon. Because if you want the town to turn up on Boyd, Jade, and Tabitha, Henry is the perfect person to start that fire with. Unless there's something else we don't know about. I mean, peep how Henry dodged the question when Jade asked him about his occupation. Perhaps he works for Rendezvous. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Anyway, Boyd picked the wrong time to be sharing information with the damn shapeshifter in the town. They should have been talking. I mean, at least talking to the three about what happened with the cicadas. Why didn't Mary tell them what she knows about the voices of everyone being trapped there? The Matthews should have told somebody about the kitchen ghost. Why isn't Randall talking about what he experienced? Julie's story walking. I mean, at the very least, if he was concerned about her messing up her brain from the seizures, then he would at least say something to Christy or Mary. The only one really asking questions during this whole conversation was Bacta, but why aren't they picking her brain since her grandmother knew that nursery rhyme? And not only did you wait for a shapeshifter to arrive, but you're literally sharing the information that you know caused the townspeople to kill Tabitha in the previous cycles. What are you doing? And then you're telling your plans to the girl who just got there? Like, what's going on? But the way all of this is playing out, it kind of makes everything click to me. We've been asking a question for years, and that's what was the bad thing that Christopher did? And after this episode, I think we know. Christopher told everyone about the reincarnation just like Jade is doing right now. I mean, think about Victor's memory in the church. What was he talking about when he said everything lies here? So I think that we know what Christopher did now. The same damn thing that Boyd and Jade are doing right now, and that's telling the rest of the people about the reincarnation. Think about this. In the mushroom trip, young Jade said that when the people found out about the reincarnation, it escalated into hatred that led to their deaths. So what if Christopher played the violin, had the recollection the same way Jade and Tabitha did? He saw the Ankui daughter, he learned the truth, and then he went and told the town after probably talking to Miranda about it. That would explain why Miranda told Victor to go hide somewhere Chris didn't know about. It wasn't because Christopher was randomly dangerous. It was because Christopher had knowledge that came with a cost. And Miranda probably knew what happens when the town learns too much too fast. She didn't want Victor to receive that same message because once people knew the truth about the cycle turns everybody against each other. So while Christopher was spreading the truth through the town, Miranda was headed to the tower because she knew that they were running out of time. Now, the only thing I'm wondering is, what did the boy in white tell him to make him say everything lies here? I wonder if the boy in white was telling Christopher to tell the people or not to tell the people. Because when Victor says he heard the boy in white say that the kids were in the tower, which turned out to be a lie, I'm wondering if the boy in white was trying to steer Christopher to keeping that information to himself. I'm thinking that Christopher played that violin, saw the Aunt Cooey daughter, and then the boy in white tells him that they're in the tower. And the kicker to this whole thing is, if it's a cycle, that would mean that somebody gets out and comes back like Tabitha did. Or maybe that's the element that makes this cycle different. Maybe that made things different enough to end this cycle. Maybe Sophia was really shook when she saw those crows at the funeral, because that was something different too. The blaming of Tabitha was foreshadowed with Reggie blaming Boyd for Paula's death. Knowledge comes at a cost. And Reggie talked about humans being fragile, and so did Yeller McNasty. Reggie told Boyd that he liked him before he shot at him, and Yeller McNasty said the same thing to Jim. And now with Henry having these visions and being under the blood magic of Sophia, will he too start to try to turn the town members against Boyd and Jade? I mean, Reggie blamed Boyd, and so the town will blame him too at some point, but it's going to be a lot more intense. And it also makes me remember how Reggie was screaming up the stairs saying that everybody was going to die. And now, while we're on the topic of variant cycles, I made this diagram that explains how I see the timeline of events and how it works in FROMland. I went through this in a previous video, but each circle represents a cycle moving across a main timeline. This red circle is Boyd, Tabitha, and Jade's cycle. So the yellow one would be Miranda and Christopher's when Victor and them came into town, and so on and so forth. Now, each one of these cycles actually repeats for each group. So Tabitha and this group have been there multiple times, as did Miranda's group, and so on and so forth. And I think that this episode gives us some proof of that. And I've been saying this for a long time since this channel, but this episode right here definitely hit a smack dab with that notion. So each one of these groups have been there multiple times, just like Miranda and all the other groups. But this is why the monsters always know their plans. They knew about the ambulance coming in. They knew where everybody was going to be running when it came to the cows getting loose. They let the cows loose. They have done this over and over again. This is why we saw the ambulance also in Tabitha's tower vision. When Tabitha had that dream, she had the ambulance was on the steps of the tower because she had come back to this place in that ambulance once before. And like I said, it's how the monsters know all of their names, because all of this has happened. Think of it as many loops inside of a loop. And I explained this before by showing how the Matthews had a different RV when they came into town, how the little shack by the barn disappears and reappears, the train tracks, a bunch of different variants that you see on that first episode. And keep in mind that the showrunners did say that the answer to what is actually going on shows up in the first episode. And this episode gave us another clue to the alternate versions of timelines that they have come to this place. And I expect nothing less than the episode that actually represents 4-7, season 4, episode 7. And when I talk about how the Matthews RV showed us that there were different times that they came into this place, here we have another vehicle showing us this reality. And that's the car that Miranda came into town in is slightly different than the one Tabitha is standing at. It has two totally different interiors. But the catch to it is this car is actually making her have a vision of Miranda coming to town. But the car Miranda is driving in the vision is totally different from the card that's making Tabitha have the vision. Now, why does this happen? I think that the diagram gives us a little clue. If you notice, each one of these circles touches two of the previous circles, but it touches the circles twice. So we're getting at least 2 points of each cycle. Another proof of this is that in season 3, at the end, when we see Jim get his throat ripped out and Julie's looking for him, we hear Julie say, yes, I think this is when it happens. That means that it would have to have happened one time before for her at least to come back to try to save him for that second time that it was going to happen. So if this is happening over and over, that means the story is being told over and over. So in essence, you can't change a story once it's been told. But if it's being told over and over and it's going to be told again, then you can stop something before it actually happens. The monsters knew about Boyd's plan because it all happened before, just slightly different. And I shouldn't say slightly different. There's a major difference because Fatima was able to interfere with Smiles Davis's attack on Kenny. I mean, peep how shocked Smiles Davis looks when Fatima made him change back. And this was a total shock to him. I mean, think back to season 2, episode 6, when Boyd was killing the monster outside the clinic. They all just stood there and let him do it, including Smiles Davis himself. It almost as if they'd happened before and they knew he would come back anyway. But this time, when Fatima hits him with that golem strength, he was in shock enough for Kenny to knock that dude into the end zone. And I just like to point out that Fatima was touching the golem's head when she started locking in on the monster's vision. Things happening over and over again, I believe, is the answer to why Victor's art sometimes predicts things that haven't happened yet, like Boyd finding that goat. We didn't see Victor anywhere. He wasn't nowhere in sight when that happened. I think he remembered it from a time where he might have been present when Boyd came out of the forest with the goat. And I think that picture that he drew of someone in the grave was Jade's vision from the mushroom trip when they put him in that grave. And things happening over and over again explain other things that are happening in the town as well. We have some of the travelers that are theorizing that people's fears come to life in this town, and I think the very opposite is what's happening. Due to things happening over and over again, people's fears and even childhood fears are due to them being in this place before, and they remember it, and this is why they're afraid of it. The cicadas didn't show up because of Nathan. Nathan was afraid of the cicadas because he had been there before. And I'm not talking about reincarnation. I'm just talking about within this cycle right here, the red circle that happens over and over again. Ethan didn't just happen to make up the Lake of Tears for it to actually be there. He remembers it. I don't think that Abby and Tabby were having dreams of this place as little girls. I think they were remembering it. Randall's carvings even seem that he's exercising some sort of past memory as well. I mean, if the fears of these people who died came to life, then there would be a lot more threats coming at the travelers for sure. The only threats we've seen other than the monsters are the cicadas and the dolls. And I don't think the dolls came to life because of this dude's dreams. I think someone actually made those dolls out of real people, similar to what we see going on with Ragdoll Roger. We did see the man throw the dolls in the water, but that doesn't explain the rope that was tied to them or how they got so big or how they got anchored down in the water. I think that over time, Ragdoll Roger would have started looking like one of those things himself. And Sophia is obviously using some sort of ancient magic and incantations to make him animate. And when he first woke up, he seemed to know who he was. And when he bust through Colony House, did he kill the dude that he was pulling down the steps? Because they just clipped right away from that. They didn't even show us what happened with that. They just showed us him running towards Patty and Elgin grabbing that voodoo totem. I mean, whatever Sophia used on Ragdoll Roger, it's obvious that someone or something else was using magic to combat whatever brought those things to the table. And the totems worked against the dolls, but not for the slow walkers. But the totems did work on Roger. So whatever Sophia did to him, it had to be the same thing that was done to those dolls to make those totems work on both of them. And so I believe that this proves that the dolls were not the result of that man's dreams, that the man had been there before, and that's why he dreamt of the dolls, because somebody knows how to make people into those dolls, just like Sophia did. This also makes me wonder about the red painted stones that the young girl was hiding behind. I'm wondering if those dolls were able to enter that circle of stones, and do they have some sort of function, the red stones? There are several places around FROMland where you can see large stone medicine wheel arrangements. Father Khatri sat in the middle of one, and even the box has 3 large stones around it. And I'm betting that the talismans and the totems are not the only items in this place, and I think that our travelers will also figure out some ways to make more, like Fatima and her golem, that seems to have helped her tap into some sort of power. Maybe even Boyd's sheriff's badge gives him some degree of power in this place. He's been rocking that thing forever. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why Kenny just stood there and let the milkman play him out like that.
I think you're worth it.
Just kidding.
But Kenny did take the open and knock the shit out of Smiles Davis and get to the talisman. That scene took me right back to Randall's first night on the bus. Do you guys remember the nurse monster was actually humming a tune outside the bus? We never saw none of the monsters sing or anything like that before, but she was singing a song that we should all know.
What am I supposed to be?
Yeah, she was singing Frère Jacques or Brother John. And the original French lyrics are about a monk who has overslept and failed to ring the bell for the prayer before the sun rises. The song is literally someone trying to wake him up so he can perform his duty. And so the monster humming a song about someone having to ring a bell before the sun rises sounds like Mr. Fish and Loaves ringing the bell before the sun goes down. And speaking of Mr. Fish and Loaves, I knew something was going to happen with that Viewmaster. The last vision device that we found in the basement has some bullshit with it, and this one does too. One takes pictures and one shows you pictures. And they need to burn that shit and that camera with Ragdoll Roger's corpse. That shit showed Boyd looking like Damon Pope letting his hair down for a minute. I thought the next slide was about to be Umar Johnson. And somebody had to see Sophia moving funny through the town, making her way from the chicken coop to the shed with Roger's body. Her coming through with the egg symbolism was right on time for the 4/7 episode. The Twin Towers showing up in this episode fits right in the slot as well. And I've talked about this extensively on this channel, all the way from the 47 connections to Trump and 9/11. And to see this pop up in season 4, episode 7, solidifies this pattern that I've recognized. I mean, go look at my videos. I'm not going to keep harping on it in every single video. Go look at the 47 videos, what I was talking about 9/11. And now they're showing us the Twin Towers in the same episode that represents a 4 and a 7. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Roger's body was in the shed with his head pointing directly at the vesica piscis. And if you've been watching this channel, you know that I've been talking about the egg, vesica piscis, and the 47 imagery since season 2. You can go check out my other videos for that, but I bet a bunch of you that watch this channel thought about me when you saw that egg. Let me know in the comment section. And let me find out that you could smell Fatima's gas pack through the window. Somebody need to give some of that shit to Henry so he can mellow his ass out real quick. It might make that Sophia blood come up out of him. And I mean, since we talking about that, does Henry getting Sophia's blood mean that he's a goner? Like, what is gonna happen to him? I mean, he's got Sophia's blood inside of him. What's gonna happen? Something else I noticed was the resemblance between the ballerina from season 2 and the nurse in Henry's vision. It's not the same actress, but I think it's a very interesting casting choice. We saw the same thing last season when the priest that Tabitha visits looked just like Martin. And surely the showrunners noticed that they cast a priest that looks like Martin and now a random nurse that favors the ballerina. I mean, the first time it was like maybe, but now since they've done it again with the same type of casting choice, I don't know. Also, I caught that line with Fatima and Donna when she said that people change and Donna was like, yeah, they do. I wonder what Donna was getting at. Could she be talking about herself? Could she be talking about Boyd? Let me know in the comments what you made of that. Now, the only thing that I think we might be looking past is the fact that knowledge comes at a cost. So it might not be a good idea for Victor to tell Ethan what he knows about that sack of teeth. I mean, what does Victor know about the teeth, and why would a sack of molars still be in that car? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. I mean, having a whole sack of wisdom teeth, Sophia translating into wisdom, the Solomon's Temple and Hiram Abiff symbolism, the Baphomet symbolism, voodoo and hoodoo imagery, the egg symbolism, and more. And I've been talking about all of these different schools of thought and esoteric threads on this channel since I started in season 2. And since we're talking about the teeth, here's one dope esoteric nod that I think they were talking about. I brought you the information about Jade and the Alex Haley Roots connection. I talked about the Jim Crow and the Gollywog connection. But this connection with the sack of teeth was real dope because I think it's a reference to how back in the 1700s, elite dentures were often made from ivory, metal, animal teeth, and sometimes real human teeth. I mean, even George Washington's surviving dentures were not wood. His own account books show that in 1784, he purchased teeth from some enslaved people in Mount Vernon. Now, historians cannot prove exactly who these people's teeth were, but there is an actual account of him paying some money for the teeth of enslaved people. And not just him, but this was a practice that people would use against like downtrodden people, enslaved people, and people that were just coerced to give their teeth away. So From is right back at it with this type of esoteric symbolism, and I love it. And it's real dope to see these things showing up in the show 4 seasons later. You know what I'm saying? Or 2 seasons, I should say, since I started the channel. But I'm a day one From watcher. I've had to watch each one of these episodes, wait a week for each episode and everything. I didn't binge watch it like a lot of the new fans. And I have to say that this episode is the best of the series so far. I mean, I've said that about 2 episodes this season so far. And I think with only 3 episodes left for season 4, we're going to be in for a wild ride and a long break before the final season. So if you like this video, go ahead and do all that dope YouTube stuff for me and share this with someone who watches the show. And if you're not subscribed yet, hopefully this will be the video to make you do it. YouTube has been really suppressing me in the algorithm lately, so I want to see if your share and your likes and hypes can help me. Go ahead and share this. Like, let's see what happens if it actually changes or pushes the needle for the channel. And I thank you in advance. Anyway, that's all for the video this evening. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.